Hello, everyone. This is Michael Allen, host of the iDateMedia podcast. This is episode number 11, and in today's episode, we're going to discuss mobile dating apps. For those that follow the audio version of my podcast, you'll notice that episode 10 does not exist in the podcast directory. This is because episode 10 was a video podcast that can't be uploaded to the audio podcast directory. Let's get into it. Over the last 5 or 6 years, we've seen a whole lot of mobile dating apps being uploaded into the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. What's been happening since last October is that Apple is rejecting most dating apps that are being submitted to the store. Why is Apple rejecting the apps? Well, what we're getting is that Apple is saying that the market for the dating apps inside the store is extremely saturated. They don't want to erode the customer experience by having thousands and thousands of generic dating apps. There are some apps that are being allowed in. These are niche market sites, but if your dating app, if you're creating a dating app that you're wanting to get into the Apple Store, chances are right now it's not going to go in. Are they being allowed into the Google Play Store? Yes. Google doesn't have a policy yet. They still have the same number of apps. People who are developing apps develop them for Android as well as Apple. But Apple is, well, we all know what Apple is. They, when it comes to apps, they're very unique. Some people will call them stingy and acting like they're playing God by doing all kinds of things, rejecting apps if they don't like it, taking 30% of your revenue from within the app. That means if you're charging members $100 for a membership, Apple's going to take $30 of that membership. That's their policy. They've had it for years. They're not going to change it. So if you're looking to make money within your dating app within the Apple Store, you better charge more or not even submit it at all. So this just goes to show what Apple's been doing, especially with rejecting apps. So as I stated, since October, it could have been before October, but I'm not really sure. But I know since October, every app that's been submitted has been rejected, 100%. And we're not really sure exactly what the reasoning is. It's a blanket statement that they're issuing back saying your app has been rejected. They're not giving the reason. But some people within the community are stating that Apple sees that the App Store is saturated and they don't want to see any more apps come in. There's been some talk about if your app is extremely creative and very different than any of the other apps, there's a possibility that they would allow that app to be approved into the store. We're not very sure, and we're actually not confident on that. Some of the apps that we've submitted have been extreme niches, super niches that I've called them, and they've still been rejected. So there could be just the dating aspect of it is just being rejected. So this happened with Facebook a few years back, where Facebook just stopped allowing dating sites to advertise on their platform. They do allow other large platforms like Match, eHarmony. They're still allowed to do that stuff, but niche market dating sites, if you own a dating site, chances are you're going to get rejected on Facebook as well. It doesn't mean you can't have a Facebook page that promotes your dating site. You can still do that, but you cannot advertise your dating site on Facebook. It's been a few years since you've been able to do that, and that still continues to be the case. As far as Apple and the store is concerned, they're just rejecting apps. So what does that mean? What does that mean to someone who's wanting to produce a dating app or just a dating app only and try to get that into the store? Well, chances are it's going to get rejected. So you've probably spent a lot of money building your dating app only to have it rejected on Apple. And as I stated earlier, Google allows it. That's not going to be a problem. But even though Google does have a larger market share of the apps, you still want to get your app within inside the Apple App Store. So what I've been recommending since October is that customers focus on responsive design, progressive web apps. So what is a responsive design? A responsive design means that it doesn't matter what the device is for your members. If they're on a desktop, a laptop, a tablet, or a mobile phone, if they hit your site, it's going to adjust according to their screen size. This is called responsive. because it responds to the device size. So it's all based on the screen size. What is progressive web apps? Well, progressive web apps it's kind of a take on responsive design. You have a limited amount of stuff being put into the responsive design, which that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, because if you want your members to experience all of the features and functions that your dating site has, then you want all of that in your responsive design. If you create a progressive web app, by definition, where you're limiting everything that's going into the app to a certain few things, you're taking away from the customer experience, and I don't feel that's a great idea. There are niche dating sites, some very popular niche dating sites that don't promote an app. One of which is our customer, FarmersOnly.com. If you go to FarmersOnly.com, you will see that there's no app promotion whatsoever on that main page. There's a reason for that. If you go to other large niche market sites, there's the UK has a free dating site called freedating.co.uk. That's the UK's largest free dating site. There's not a mobile app there. Another company very big in America, spiritualsingles.com, they don't have an app either. They have responsive design. Now the question then becomes, why do all these niche market dating sites have responsive design? It's a very simple answer. It's because of the onboarding process. And the onboarding process is the registration process. So if you have a mobile app, think about it this way. If you have a mobile app, a user has to see the app, download the app, install the app, launch the app, and then register on the app. So you've got 4 or 5, even 6 steps there to get a user onboarded. Compare that against the responsive design. When someone goes to the site, it's already there. It's responding to the screen size. It's ready to go. All the user has to do is click on registration. So what's happening here is you have these large niche market dating sites who understand that they've got to get the members onboarded as quickly as possible. This is because the attention span of the internet user is not very long. So would you rather have a member have 6 or 7 steps to get registered and logged in, or would you like to have 2 or 3? So with a responsive design, that's what you get with 2 or 3 steps. So that's the difference between onboarding process for a mobile app versus a responsive design. The other thing is that, as I alluded to earlier with the attention span, that remember that for every member that registers on your site, they are a lead. They are someone that you can promote your products and services to. For example, when someone registers, maybe you're a freemium style site, you want to be able to email them any specials that you might be running. Maybe you want to offer them a coupon code. If you don't have that member or that member's email address, you cannot promote them. That is a lead. That is someone that you can promote your products and services to. So remember, with the attention span being so short with mobile apps and responsive design, you've got to get them onboarded very quickly. So again, that's why you see these major niche dating sites promoting their responsive design, because they know their people are hitting their site on their mobile device. So another thing with the apps is that if you want your members to download your app, you can either promote it on your website or you have it in the App Store. If you have it there, this is only if you have the app in the store, is that they have to find it. The chances of anyone finding your app in the App Store are slim to none. Why? Because if you do a search for a dating app within the mobile app search function, you're going to be buried on page 800 or whatever the page may be. You're not going to be ranked up there in the top. You have to focus on, okay, I've got my website. It's responsive. It adjusts to all devices. I'm marketing. I got people registering. I got people logging in. I'm making money. You're just not going to see it with the mobile app. Now, with all of that said, does it mean that you should not have an app? No. You should have an app. We do have an app. We're in the process of redeveloping our app. It should be ready by February 2021. This is January 2021 as I speak. But yeah, so you should have it because you want to be able to promote it to your existing customers But you don't need to really promote it on your front page because, like I said, it adds more steps to the onboarding process. So should you? Yeah. Now there are companies that don't have it. They don't care to have it. There's just no need to have it. You'll hear people say, well, millennials, they're all about the apps. That's not true. Well, it's kind of true. Millennials do love their apps, but it doesn't have to be that, oh, this millennial is going to bypass your dating site because it's not an app. That's just not the case. Remember, within the dating site, it's all about content. If you've got a unique dating site that caters to this millennial that loves hiking and wine, chances are they're going to register, log into your site, and use it. This notion that millennials only deal with apps is just not true. We've seen it in the past 5 years. It seems to be the case. So companies like Farmers Only, they do have an app. They don't promote it on the front page. Spiritualsingles.com does not have an app. They do very well. Freedating.co.uk out of the UK doesn't have an app. So there's a lot of companies, niche market dating sites that don't have apps. Like I mentioned before, they do this for a reason. So as I said, it doesn't mean you don't have to have an app. You can. Just don't promote a dating app on your front page. Just think of it this way again. The front page of your dating site, you're promoting your app. You've already got that user on your front page. Now you're going to send them to an app where additional steps would have to be created to get them onboarded, and chances are you'll lose them. Get them registered on your front page with responsive design. Bypass the mobile app right there. Offer it to them somewhere inside, not on that initial front page. Now, Match does this, eHarmony does this. All these large dating sites, they promote their app. Why? Because they're branded. People know Match, just like the word Google, just like the word Match, just like the word eHarmony. These are branded companies. They're very large companies. They can promote that app. Why? Because they're big enough to do it. They also have the money to do it. So focus on getting the user onboarded. Now, when it comes to the apps that we're creating, we do have a mobile dating app. As I stated earlier, it'll be ready in February. And basically, it works like this. If you're going to promote it to the users when they're logged in. That way, you've got them onboarded. They can use the app after that, and they can log into the app. They launch the app. They put in your URL one time, and then they connect to your site. Now, this is the shared version. I should have said that earlier, but it's the shared version of the app. It's one that we provide. Users download it. They type in your URL. They connect, and then they can register and log in and use your site there. The other aspect is that you will get the source code, and you can make the modification to the app and change it to where your domain name is hard-coded into the app, and then you can submit it to the stores. It may get rejected, but you can still submit it and see what happens. You can still get it in Google Play Store. So those are the two ways that it works. So there's the only difference, as I stated, is that with the shared app, your customers will have to put your URL in there one time. And if you have the full source code, you can make the modification, and it's your app. And as soon as your customers launch the app, they're already in it. It's yours. So, but again, I'm really hammering this home about the responsive design, because I get customers and potential customers coming to iDateMedia.com every day saying, hey, I need an app. Hey, I need an app. I got to have an app. And then I'm like, okay, so go out and Google Apple rejecting dating apps and tell me what you find. So I'm getting these visitors coming in and saying, I want an app, I want an app, I want an app. Why? Because there's just this psychology of, I've got to have an app. I've got to have an app. Well, what they're seeing is they can't get the app in there, and then they've spent $10,000 with a competitor, and they've got nothing. Now they have to go back and figure out how they can get a website developed and try to get a responsive design going and try to get those customers in. They're already $10,000, $15,000 in the hole, and they're nowhere near where they need to be. That's why you have to have responsive design. I know to a lot of people this won't make sense. They're going to be hell-bent on, I'm getting an app, I want an app. But these people, and I've done this before. I had a guy who contacted me and wanted to know about apps. This was at the end of last year, and I didn't provide him with an app, and I told him why I told him that Apple was rejecting them. And he's like, no, you're just full of it. And I said, okay, tell you what, when you get rejected by Apple, you come back and talk to me. 3 days ago, he called me. He said, you know what? You were right. I submitted this app to the store and they rejected it. They wouldn't give me a reason why. And I said, well, I don't want to sit here and say I told you so, but how much money did you spend? Well, I'm not going to say how much money he spent, but I can tell you it was a lot of money to have the app first development. That's not the way you should do it. Think of it like this. Google has been mobile first for a long time. Why? Because everyone uses their phone. So when you're optimizing your site, you're using Google Search Console, you'll always see mobile first. That's right. Google wants to see responsive design on your website. If you don't have responsive design, you're not going to get ranked. You're not really going to get indexed. They'll probably reject you. But the reality is that they're doing mobile first. Everybody's doing mobile first. Mobile first does not mean mobile app. There's a difference. A mobile app is an app that works on the mobile phone, but a mobile phone also has a browser. You can find Chrome, Firefox, Edge. You can get all those browsers for your mobile phone. Everyone uses their browsers. So that's going to lead to a responsive design website. So if you've got a dating site, responsive design, people are using their browser on their mobile phone. They're searching, maybe they're looking for hiking singles or singles that love hiking, singles that love hiking and wine. And your site comes up and it's responsive. They're getting onboarded and you've got your lead. And that turns into money. So again, just to kind of rehash the whole thing, I've said it before, I want to drive this home. I really want to hammer this out, that you want to have a responsive design. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't have an app, but focus on responsive design. Don't take my word for it. Go out and look at spiritualsingles.com, look at passionsnetwork.com, look at farmersonly.com, look at freedating.co.uk. You will see the same thing on all of them. They are not promoting the app on their initial pages because they understand the onboarding process. So I want to make sure that everyone understands this. And I know some people say, well, Michael, you say a lot of ums and you speak a lot and you seem to be all over the place. And I understand that. And, I'm no perfect podcaster. I'll tell you that right now. I wasn't a great speaker in high school, but I can tell you, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've seen the trends. I've seen how the dating space has changed over the years. I know what works. I have a lot of customers. I have a lot of high-level customers. Farmers Only has somewhere around 4 million active members. They use our software. Spiritual Singles, they've been around for a long time. Passions Network, we're talking millions and millions of people. I'm connected to a lot of people in the dating space. And I understand how these things work. I go to the conferences. I talk to people. I have customers that I've had for a long time that I talk to. I see what works. I see what doesn't work. I hear from customers on what works and what doesn't work. This is what I put into my podcast. And this is what I give to you, the customer, so you can be more successful in the dating space. And so, with that said, mobile dating apps. Have it. Don't make it your primary focus. Focus on responsive design. Have a good niche, responsive design, make sure it works, do your marketing. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I'm Michael Allen with iDateMedia.com.